Om Gade Gade Paragade Parasam Gade Bodhiswaha. Okay, compounded and uncompounded. Okay, so what we are trying to come to this point is to know that as a South Tantric school, the second school, says that things exist. Most of the things, they exist from the object or from the substance, but there are things which exist also through mind, through imputation. Imputation means, say, giving labels. For example, say somebody's name is is there any Chen? The label with the name Chen. Is there anyone? Okay, no. So let's say there is one child born, and the parents, they give the name Chen. So the child, when born, child says, "Oh, I'm Chen." It's not like this. It is someone else giving the name. So it is through the subject giving the label to the object that the object came to be known as Mr. Chen in the future, right? So this is known as imputation, labeling, designation, right? Designation, labeling, and the imputation, so forth. For example, say, let's put in some of the great teachers, they give this example. Say if you build a house with 2 rooms, one as your living room and one as your kitchen, and you are not sure which you're going to use as kitchen, you have to furnish later. And okay, which is the kitchen? I'm not too sure. Which means that which of the 2 room is not kitchen, not yet sure. Then after thinking a lot, okay, for the living room I need more light. For the kitchen I don't need light as much. So the room A has more light, so I'll use room B as kitchen. And then although it is still not furnished, then after somebody says, "Where's your kitchen?" "This is my kitchen, room B." "Oh, go to the kitchen." Right? So now you have already labeled it. Day 1, you are yet to decide which kitchen, or not yet decided. Then day 5, go to the kitchen and put the sink there, put this thing there. Go to the kitchen, get the knife from the kitchen, right? So you've already labeled it, and then later on we get the impression as well, like the kitchen from the room, it says "I'm kitchen." This is the impression that we get. Objectively, we see the kitchen as so objectively real, right? Say, when you look at this, does this appear as a hall, or does it appear as a kitchen to you? As a hall. And how does it appear? Is it that your mind is imputing it, or this hall is telling you that this is not a kitchen, this is a hall, right? Objectively, it appears as. So first we mentally impute, we label, we designate, and slowly it becomes so habituated that we see it as from the object. That it is saying that I'm the hall, I'm the kitchen, I'm this, I'm Indonesia, I'm Singapore, and so forth. Okay, this is known as imputation. With this, I like to tell you that I like to share with you my personal little bit of experience. When I was in the monastery, South India, and already how many years? Maybe I think after 11 or 12 years of studies, very intense studies. You know how the monastic trainings not all monasteries, in the academic monastery institutions, there the training is so rigorous. After all these many years of rigorous trainings, then I was there in one of the classes, little high class, and 1 year senior class, 1 year senior to me. So I was so keen to do that class as well. And then I joined that class. I joined the class and listened to the teacher. I thought that I'm not too dull a person, dull a student. And then listening to the class, I could not understand anything. Could not understand anything. And I thought, what happened? My intelligence is gone now. Right? I could not understand anything. And the teacher is going to such detailed explanation. And the other students who are all 1 year senior to me, not only, so because they're doing the debates, it's not that the seniors they do on their own, the juniors they do, no. Seniors, juniors, they sometimes we mix up. And then we know that, okay, even the seniors, they would appreciate the juniors, the intelligence and so forth. And then there, other students, they were able to give answers, not only give answers, they also asked questions to the teacher. I was so fascinated, felt so demoralized, now I'm gone. I was so discouraged. And then at one point I thought that, so this topic is not really meant for me. So other topics like emptiness, the other topics, however complicated, I'm not so bad. But this one is not Abhidhamma Kosh by Acharya the Vasubandhu. This is not really meant for me. I could not understand anything, right? And then I really felt demoralized. And then after a while, so the first teacher finishes the teaching, and then another teacher of mine started to give the teaching. And I joined that. The second one. So the second teacher, not at all going through the details, no question answers, simply rushing through the books. Simply rushing through and no detailed explanation, no question answers, no debates. And I could literally follow everything what he was saying. Then I realized that it was not because that the second teacher's teaching skill is better, because the first teacher, he was just going through details and question answers, and all of the students, they could follow him, whereas the second teacher was just browsing through, very dashing through, and yes, I was getting almost everything. Then I realized, okay, so this is what is meant by the need for habituation, the need for revisiting the text, the studies, and so forth. So I'm very inspired to hear from some of those who took part in Bali retreat last year. Some of them giving me the feedback that last year they could not understand anything. So now this time it is like just a veil was lifted, and you could hear so many things. This is very inspiring. So what I'm saying is that amongst us, no doubt, particularly when you are a beginner here, you will feel a little lost. Don't worry. This is why from the beginning I was telling you that this is what is bound to happen. Even that happened to me also so many times. So what we should be doing is that just try to listen to what you're getting. And then if the need be, you make notes out of that, right? Whatever technical terms that I'm giving you, just note them down. And there are a number of, say, the people who from the ABC, from TBC, they already into these studies for some time. You can ask them. Okay, just raise your hands. Those who already did the basic program from ABC. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, those of you new, if possible, try to locate those who already did the basic programs from ABC and from TBC. There, it has been quite some time that the programs are started. So from TBC, Venla, Ritala, then Sonamla, Carrie, Perry, and okay, Kristen. Okay, then some of you from the Masters course 20 years ago. Masters course, it was quite fresh, quite new, right? So I'm not too sure about the Masters course. They are quite how long? Masters course. Half year, 6 months. Okay. So what I'm saying is that those who are new, if you can promise one thing to me instead of me committing, right? If you can commit yourself to the one thing, you choose between the two things. Either you can attend the next year's retreat, which is happening in Malaysia, and where, when, and so forth, you check with Venla, one. If you cannot, don't force yourself to come to the next retreat. You promise, if you can promise to listen to this recording once more, these retreat recordings once more, I guarantee you that you'll feel that the veil is lifted from your mind, right? And you'll feel that things are much clearer. Okay, then you will enjoy it. So if you can commit to any of these two things, you'll be totally fine, right? Okay, so because I'm sharing my experience. I was totally lost after all these many years of studies. And then in terms of the text, it is not as difficult. Abhidhamma-kosh, by Acharya Vasubandhu, is not as difficult. And then as compared to the emptiness text, that is not difficult. But I got lost and I totally literally I felt demoralized. So demoralized. And in the second teaching, you wouldn't believe the teacher was just browsing through, just reading, and once in a while giving explanation, and I could literally hear almost everything, understand everything, right? So there's no doubt, and you are no exception. You will all understand it the way I'm explaining now, right? So this is not difficult. Okay. So if you think it from the other side, we should be feeling fortunate. Had it been the case that all of you are total new beginners, what we have covered thus far, we cannot possibly have covered even 1/10 of what we covered thus far, right? So it is because that there are others who have already studied more. We have covered this much, and we can't really expect the newcomers we can't really expect to understand all these things in one go. But how much you have implanted the seed of this knowledge, you have done it very successfully, very effectively, that you listen to the second time, you wouldn't believe that, okay, this is what I've learned last year. Now you can understand, you could follow so well, right? So this is what I would suggest you do. And if you come the second and next time in Malaysia, we're not sure where, Malaysia, then you should be one of the leaders of the group discussions to help the newcomers then, right? Okay, this is the newcomers for this time. Next year you are not going to newcomers, you're going to help others. Okay, this is what will surely happen. Okay, with this in mind, okay, now going back, compounded and uncompounded. Okay. Let's say that, okay, this house, this hall has a number of people there, right? This hall has number of people there. Okay, this hall, is there any American? No, Australian, right? Okay, no American. Okay, let's say this hall is empty of Americans. This hall is full of Singaporeans, but it's empty of Americans, right? Okay, let's say this hall is full of Singaporeans. What do you get the feeling? That there are people, right? In this hall, there are people who are Singaporeans. So there's something very solid. You're getting it? Something solid out there as people come into your mind. And now I tell you, okay, this hall is empty of Americans. Is it true or not? Okay, particularly those people who are new. Is it true or not? That this hall is empty of American people. That's true, right? What do you get in your mind? What comes to your mind when you say this hall is empty of American people? Yes, I understand. That's true. But what comes to your mind? Some people coming there? No, right? That this hall is empty of American people. So how do you understand this? Let me say, okay, let's say, what is this? Some will say flowers. Without looking at me, they will say they're flowers, right? Okay, sweet. A candy. Okay, let's say, What is in my hand? Left hand. Now what is in my left hand? Okay, particularly those who are new, you must give the answer to me, right? Okay, this is not philosophy. Okay, what is in my hand? Nothing. What is in my hand? Candy. Okay, right? Candy. Now, I remove this. What is in my hand? Empty, right? Is there elephant in my hand? No elephant. Absence of elephant in my hand? Okay, absence of elephant in hand. It's not nothing. There's something there. Absence of elephant is there. Absence of elephant, is it in my hand? Yes. Okay, but if you go to a market, if you go to shop and say that, okay, say, give me a biscuit, please sell me a biscuit. And the person gives you a biscuit, and the biscuit, give in your hand, right? And then the person, then you ask for, say, and then you say that, oh, you did not give the biscuit. The person says, yeah, I've already given you a biscuit. Nothing is in my hand. You say that something is in your hand, right? Absence of elephant in your hand. Absence of biscuit is in your hand. Don't say this. If you say that, what will the shopkeeper tell you? Nothing is in my hand, right? With the hands open, will say what? Nothing is in my hand. But you, after learning from Jambi, you say something is in your hand. Absence of biscuit is in your hand. Is it true or not? Absence of biscuit, is it in his hand or not? Say, my hand, is it empty? Okay, in my hand, what is there? Absence of biscuit? Absence of biscuit in my hand? Biscuit is in my hand? No, absence of biscuit is my hand? Okay, my hand is absent of biscuit? My hand is absent of biscuit? So the absence of biscuit is in my hand? Yes, right? So don't argue with other people that you have absence of biscuit in your hand, right? They will think that something is wrong with you. They will send you to mental hospital, right? Okay, so now, but it is a fact. But it's a fact that there's absence of biscuit in my hand. Absence of biscuit in my hand. This is a fact, right? Okay, with this, when we go to the people who have no philosophy exposure, they will say that nothing is in my hand, right? But you will say that there's something in your hand. Absence of biscuit is in your hand. Absence of elephant is in your hand. Absence of Singapore is in your hand, right? So there are so many things there in your hand. But ordinary people who have no exposure to philosophy will say that there's nothing in your hand. Okay, tell me, which of the two, ordinary people who have no exposure to philosophy, is correct? Or you are correct when you say that there is something in my hand, absence of elephant in my hand, and the ordinary people saying that there's nothing in your hand. Which of the two is correct? Huh? How can both be correct? One said that there's something, one said nothing is there. These two opposites. Very good. This is the way of speech. What do you mean by the way of speech? So when the ordinary people, when they say that there's nothing there, they mean some solid thing is not there. When ordinary people say that something is there or something is not there, means that there should be some substance. For example, a candy or say the flower. Say the flower, when say the flower is there, absence of flower is there, what's the difference? The flower is there, there's a substance there. There's a solid substance there, right? Without the substance, then it becomes abstract. Your mind says that the absence of flower is there. There's no substance which says that I'm the absence of flower. There's no substance there which says that I'm the absence of. Whereas when you put this there is a substance. There is a substance which says that I'm a flower, right? There's a substance there. And this will say that I'm not flower, I'm candy. And this says that I'm a flower, you see this as a flower. There's a substance there to tell us that there's something there. So ordinary people who have no exposure to philosophy, when they say that something is there or nothing is there, they mean there should be some solid substance there. You're getting it? If there is substance there, only then they say that there is something there. If there's no substance as to grab at, then they will say that nothing is there. Do you see difference? Okay, so this thing which the ordinary people would classify as existent or non-existent, for that we need a substance. We need a substance. Okay, this substance, if this is a real flower, this substance has a tendency to undergo change. Because if this flower, you keep it like this for 5, 6, 10 days, what happens? This flower is slowly degenerate and slowly droop, right? So which is a very fresh flower, it slowly starts to rot, slowly starts to degenerate. There's a change happening, right? So the substance has a quality to undergo change. Substance has a quality to undergo change. Change means impermanence. You're getting it? So the substance, what we look for as a substance, it has the quality to undergo change. So therefore, substance has the connotation of impermanence. We're getting it? Okay, now, remove the flower. Now what is in my hand? What is in my hand? Huh? Absence of flower. Absence of flower is in your hand. Absence of, how many things are there? How many absence of things are there in my hand? 2. Many. How many? 10? 100? Infinite. Infinite absences are there in my hand. You're getting it? Infinite. Let's say absence of the flower. Absence of the flower, does it have a substance like the flower? Does it have a substance there as an entity? It does not have a substance. Because it does not have a substance, it is not compounded. It is not compounded by parts. They're compounded by, say, the atoms and the moments of the mind. It is not compounded by any other the substances. Because it is not compounded, it does not go any change. So this absence of the flower will never rot. Absence of the flower will never degenerate, will never droop. Right? Absence of flower that you are seeing now, you see it after 10 days, it's the same. Absence of flower. After 1,000,000 years, it's the same. There's no change there. You're getting it? So without the substance, there's nothing there as a substance to undergo change. What does not undergo change is? Changes not impermanent. What is not impermanent is permanent. You're getting it? So absence of the flower in my hand is permanent. One, before we go to this, let's say absence of flower in my hand is compounded or uncompounded phenomenon. Does it exist or not? First, absence of flower in my hand now. Absence of flower in my hand, does it exist or not? Huh? Yes, no. Okay, let's say, let's start from the scratch. My hand, okay, what is in my hand now? Flower. What is in my hand now? Okay, first say there's no flower. It's empty, right? Okay, it's empty. Because it is empty, my question to you, is there the flower? What's your answer? No. So the flower is absent in my hand? Yes. Because the flower, the absence of the flower is on my hand. Yes, no? Very good. Now we should say that absence of the flower is in my hand. Absence of the flower, unlike the flower which has a substance there, right? There's a sort of substance there which makes sounds, right? Unlike the flower, the absence of the flower, does it have a substance there to say that I'm the absence of flower? It does not have a substance. Because it does not have a substance, there is no substance there. There's no substance which is composed of smaller substance. There's no substance which is not composed of smaller substance. Because it is not composed of smaller substance, it is not compounded. Uncompounded. Uncompounded means something which is not compounded, something which is not composed of smaller substance. Right? For example, say this flower is composed of smaller substance. How do you say this? How do you say that this flower is composed of smaller substance? Because this is composed of atoms. The atoms are the small substance, right? So where is the absence of the flower in my hand? The absence of the flower, is it composed of atoms? No. It is not compounded or composed of the atoms, or it is not composed of smaller substance. Because it is not composed of a smaller substance, it is not compounded. Compounded. Because it is not compounded, it is known as uncompounded. You're getting it? Now, uncompounded means something which does not have a substance. Uncompounded. Something which does not have a substance. If it does not have a substance, there is no substance which undergoes change. To undergo change, there should be a substance there. Right? If there is a fresh flower there which is made of substance, then after 10 days it starts changing and it starts drooping. So whereas if there is no substance, there is nothing there as a substance to undergo change. So what is uncompounded, which is without substance, it does not undergo change. What does not undergo change is not impermanent. What is not impermanent is permanent, right? So therefore, uncompounded things and permanent phenomena, these two are synonymous. Compounded things and impermanent phenomena, these two are synonymous. You're getting it? Okay, I'll repeat this. Particularly for the sake of the newcomers, because this is a little technical. And look, these things will help us to understand emptiness. Because, when you hear these things for the first time, right, you understand it, and then when you grab at the second one, the first one disappears. Does it happen? Right? And particularly the third point, the first one is far away. Right? What did he say? It made he says something, it made sense to me. I can't grab it. What did he say? Right? We can't even get it. Okay, now repeat it second time. And repeat it third time. Then slowly, when I say number 3, number 2 is still with you. Number 1 is gone. Right? And then with third repetition, fourth repetition, then when I say point number 3, point number 2 is there, point number 1 is there. When I say point number 4, point number 3 and 2 is there, 1 is far away, right? And slowly we become very comprehensive, right? One thing is happening there, the next points are still hanging around your mind, right? Okay. So for example, in the monastic debates, look, for the debates you are not supposed to take even a single book with you. All books should be away from you. No books allowed. Right? Everything should be debated from your mind, right? So, say if you say something, the whole chain of debate, the train of the debates, discussions should be in your mind like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. All should be there in your mind, right? And when you say something, when I bring the point here, if what you are saying here contradicts with point number 7, which was said earlier, right? I should be able to track it back and take him back to the original standpoint, right? So all these skills you will acquire only through learning like this, what we are doing now. So this helps us to acquire that skill. Our mind has that capacity. It's the matter of whether or not we employ this, whether or not we train in this. So what we're doing is a training. It's not that you don't have that capacity. You do have the capacity. And when will you come to know this? For the time you have to believe me. And next time you will know it yourself. Right? Through your second exposure, you will come to know that by yourself. Okay. So with this, let me repeat it very quickly. Say, when you say that, what is in my hand? You say there's a flower in your hand. Now what is in my hand? Nothing is in my hand. Right? Let's begin from this. Nothing is in your hand. Now I ask you, is there a flower? You will say no. Is this hand absent of flower? You will say yes. Absence of the flower is in my hand? You will say yes. Right? You will say yes, because it's a fact. Now I say something is in my hand. Now you cannot say yes, you cannot say no. Because if you say yes, something is in your hand, then the ordinary people will say you have to go to mental hospital. Right? There's nothing in your hand. Then if you say nothing is in my hand, you have already acknowledged that the absence of the flower is in my hand. Right? So from this you are now learning something new. That, okay, ordinary people will say that nothing is in your hand. But from what we are learning now, philosophy, we have to say there's something is in my hand. What is that? Absence of the flower is in my hand, absence of tiger is in my hand. All these things I have to say, yes, it exists. Now, if I say it does exist, then it contradicts with the ordinary people's convention. No, it doesn't contradict. How? Ordinary people, when they say nothing exists, they mean what? There's nothing which has a substance. So this I agree, I also agree that no substance is there. Very good. Now we are taking a second step. Okay, absence of the flower, unlike the flower, flower has a substance, but absence of flower does not have a substance. As a solid substance there, it doesn't have a substance. Now from this we come to know that flower has a substance, absence of flower does not have a substance. Right? Doesn't have a substance. Now absence of flower, because it does not have a substance, this absence of flower is not made of smaller substances. Smaller substance, if made, then it becomes a big substance, then it should have a substance. It is not made of smaller substance. Because it is not made of smaller substance, it is not compounded by smaller substance. Because it is not compounded by small substance, absence of flower is uncompounded. Right? Now it is uncompounded and it has no substance. Because it has no substance, right, it does not have a substance to undergo change. Because it has no substance to undergo change, it does not have change involved. Without what has no change is known as, it is not impermanent. What is not impermanent is permanent. So absence of flower is uncompounded as well as permanent, right? Okay, now because listening to you, you're also making me to you are undoing my knowledge. Right? Okay. Okay, be careful, be kind. Okay, so now we see that the absence of flower is uncompounded and absence of flower is permanent. You're getting it? Okay. Now from this, what we learn is that, now tell me, what does it mean by permanent phenomena? Permanent phenomenon, this way, okay, say, just speak your mind. Speak your mind. May not necessarily, you may not, be so precise with what the text says. Just speak your mind. What do you understand by permanent phenomena? Anyone? Anyone? Okay, what is always there? Very good. Anyone else? Okay, something which cannot perform a function. One, something which is always there. Anyone else? Permanent. Something which is unchanging. Very good. Anyone else? Okay, so we are getting three information as to what it meant by permanent phenomena. Something which is forever there, always there, one. Something which is unchanging. Something which does not function, right? Three, understand. Of the three, what I would say is that, okay, let us explore. Let us explore. Say, what is always there? What is always there? Always there, say, ordinary people. Ordinary people meaning people who have no exposure to philosophy. They would understand that something permanent means something lasts forever, which is always there. So this is the connotation of eternity. Eternity, right? Now we might have to make a distinction between eternity and permanent phenomena, right? Okay. Now, permanent phenomena is something which is devoid of change. Something which is unchanging or something which is devoid of change, right? Something which is devoid of change. Okay. Now with this, my question to you. Permanent phenomena, how long does it last? Permanently, okay. Permanent phenomena, how long does it last? It lasts permanently. Okay, what do you mean by lasting permanently? It means it lasts forever. Okay, now, if you are a beginner, and if you've already understood compounded phenomena, uncompounded phenomena, how uncompounded phenomena does not have a substance. Without a substance, it does not undergo change. Once you know this, and when you bring the permanent, what is permanent? Something lasting forever, something which lasts permanently, and so forth. So now what is happening is that in your mind, there is a clash coming in your mind. There's a clash, one which is a very natural understanding that you have as the non-exposed, someone who is non-exposed to philosophy, that understanding, and what we're freshly learning today. These two are coming together in your mind, right? Okay. It'll take little time. It'll take little time to say, put the jigsaw puzzle together in a proper, the pieces together, and to create a big, good picture. It'll take little time. Okay. Now let's say, okay, let's say this glass, right? This glass, I pick it up, and for 1 second, I hold it and I release it, and it breaks, right? Let's say for 1 second, I pick up the glass and I release it and it breaks, which means the glass in the air, it lasted for how long? Permanently or impermanently? The glass lasted in the air for how long? 1 second or more than 1 second? 1 second. The glass, I just hold the glass in the air for 1 second and release it and breaks, right? Okay. In the air, the glass lasted for how long? 1 second. You're getting it? Okay. So the glass lasted for 1 second. So this glass, 1 second duration glass, 1 second duration glass, this glass, is it absent of gold? Is it absent of diamond? This glass, is it diamond or not? It's not diamond. It's absent of diamond. So absence, any quality of absence of flower in my hand, does it have substance? No substance. So likewise, all absences, anything which is in the form of absence should have no substance. You getting it? If it does not have a substance, it should not undergo change, because to undergo change, there should be a substance to undergo change. Without the substance, there's no basis for change. So it should be unchanging. If it does not have a substance, it should be unchanging. You're getting it? Now let me reiterate what we said earlier. So let's say the absence of tiger in this hall, is it permanent or impermanent? Absence of tiger in this hall, does it have substance or it has no substance? It has no substance. Okay. Why? Anyone? Because it is in the form of the absence. This is what you should be able to say. It is in the form of absence, right? And why, if something is in the form of absence, why it should not have a substance? Then you give the example of the flower. The flower, absence of flower, what's the difference? The difference is that the flower has a substance and the absence of flower does not have a substance, right? With this example, you'll get it. Okay, once you get it, now say absence of a tiger in this hall is permanent or impermanent? Or is compounded or uncompounded? Huh? Absence of a tiger in this hall is compounded or uncompounded? Has substance or has no substance? Very good. Now, this glass, 1 second lasting glass in the air, 1 second lasting glass, the glass lasting for 1 second in the air, it is compounded or uncompounded? This glass is made of atoms or it is not made of atoms? It is made of atoms. So it has a substance or not? It is impermanent or not? It is compounded or not? Very good. So this glass lasting for 1 second, this glass being empty of diamond. This glass, is it empty of diamond or this is diamond? Empty of diamond. Absence of diamond. This glass empty of diamond. This glass absent of diamond. These two are same. This glass absent of diamond. Absence of diamond with this glass. Absence of diamond with this glass. Is it substance? Is it compounded or uncompounded? Absence of diamond with this glass. Is it compounded or uncompounded? How? Because it is in the form of absence. In the form of absence. Absence of diamond. Absence of gold. Absence of good. Absence of bad. Anything which is described as absence should be always uncompounded. You getting it? Okay. Now, absence of diamond of this glass is compounded or uncompounded? Uncompounded. Is permanent or impermanent? Permanent. Is made of substance or without substance? Without substance. Very good. Now, say this glass Okay, same, this flower. Okay, this maybe, okay, let's say this flower. This flower, when I burn this flower, all the character, when I remove this flower, all the characteristics of this flower also are removed. You agree with me or not? When I remove this flower, all the petals of the flower will also be removed together. Right? When I remove this flower, all the characteristics of this flower will also be removed. Yes, no? Good. Likewise, when I remove when this glass is broken, when I remove this glass by breaking it or hiding it or whatever, but when I remove this glass, all the characteristics, all the attributes of this glass will also disappear. Agree? Not agree? Very good. Okay. So, when I break this glass, the glass disappears. You agree with me or not? When I break this glass, all the characteristics of the glass will also disappear. Yes, no? When the glass, I keep it in the air for 1 second and release it and break it. So how long the glass lasts in the air? 1 second, right? The duration is so brief. Now, this glass, just as the glass lasts for 1 second, all the characteristics of the glass will also last for 1 second. You agree with me or not? Okay. Are you sure? Good. Now, absence of the diamond of this glass. When I break this glass, absence of the diamond of the glass is also one of the characteristics of the glass. Yes, no? So that will also disappear. Right? So the absence of the diamond of this glass disappears when the glass disappears. Right? Because that is one of the attributes of the glass. Now, the glass, how long does it last? Only for 1 second. All the attributes of the glass will also last for 1 second, including the absence of the diamond of this glass. Including the absence of the diamond of this glass, it also lasts for 1 second. So the absence of the diamond of glass lasts for 1 second. So brief, it's impermanent, right? But it is permanent. Absence of the diamond of this glass is permanent or impermanent? We said it's permanent, right? Yet it lasts for only 1 second, right? It lasts for only 1 second. So therefore, permanent may not necessarily last for long. It can be as brief as 1 second, 1 millisecond. Permanent. Why permanent? If it lasts so short, how can it be permanent? Because it does not undergo change. Why does it not undergo change? Because it does not have a substance to undergo change. Why it does not have a substance? Because it is in the form of the absence. You're getting it? So this is how we have to say rationalize. Come up with the chain of reasoning. Okay. So this will take a little time. The group discussion, what I would suggest, that particularly those of you who already did the other courses, I would suggest you to start from the beginning. How we started, right? Say the flower, absence of the flower. The flower has a substance. Absence of the flower doesn't have a substance. Because it doesn't have a substance, it does not undergo change. Because it does not undergo change, it is not impermanent. What is not impermanent is permanent. So therefore, what does not have a substance is uncompounded and also permanent, right? So permanent may not be lasting long. Permanent means something which does not have a substance to undergo change, as simple as that. With this in mind, then we're speaking about, say, the glass which lasts for 1 second. And all the characteristics of the glass will also last for 1 second, including absence of the diamond of this glass, right? Absence of the diamond of this glass lasts for 1 second. Absence of the diamond of this glass is permanent phenomenon. It's not impermanent. Yet it lasts only for 1 second. So there could be permanent phenomena which lasts so briefly. So this is what you must have discussed during the group discussions, and particularly those who are a little new, don't easily give up, right? Don't easily give up, because it's just a matter of exposure. It's just a matter of exposure, including myself. How we now know these things is all because of the exposure. So why don't you give a chance to yourself, right? Why don't you give a chance to yourself by exposing to this kind of concept more? Then you'll come to know it's just a matter of exposure. It's easy. Okay. With this, now the next question. Yes.
But what about the characteristic of impermanence of the glass? Does it also disappear when the glass breaks?
Okay, good question. Okay, the glass, is it permanent or impermanent? Glass is impermanent. So, impermanence of the glass is one of the characteristics. It has so many characteristics. The glass has so many characteristics. So, one of which is the impermanence of the glass is also one of the characteristics. When the glass disappears, when the glass breaks, impermanence of the glass also disappears. Together, it disappears, right? So now, the glass is no more there, impermanent glass is no more there, right? So the quality of the impermanence of the glass also disappears when the glass disappears.
But then the glass then transforms into atoms or other things.
But there is not a glass. Yeah, there's a piece of the fragments of the glass.
There's still a continuity of
Or the continuity is there, but the glass is not there. Continuum of the glass is not there. Continuum of the substance of the glass is there, right? The smaller pieces, they are the continuum of the substance of the glass, not of the glass, because to have the continuum of the glass means, oh, there's a glass there, there's a glass there, there's a glass there. For example, let's say Mr. Chen, right? Mr. Chen, when he was 1 year old, is Chen. 10 years, Chen. There's always the Chen continuing. So when the Chen dies, then the continuum of Chen terminates, right? Continuum of the Chen terminates, but the substance can still continue. Chen's body can be buried or burned or whatever, and then will go into the become ash, or become the animals will eat, the worms will eat, and then they will be consumed by the plants, will change into bodhicitta or different forms, right? Okay. So now, yes, over there.
Sorry, please use the mic.
Geshe-la, sorry, you were saying that the absence of the diamond in the glass.
Diamond of the glass.
Of the glass, sorry. So when the glass breaks, but the diamond is absent, so shouldn't it still be absent?
Okay. Absence of diamond still remains. Absence of the diamond of the glass disappears. Absence of the diamond and the absence of the diamond of the glass, these two are different, right? Say my body, my human body, and the human body in general. So even if I die, my human body disappears, but the human body still remains. Your human body is there, right? Likewise, absence of diamond is there, but the absence of diamond of the glass disappears. Okay, yes?
Geshe-la, before when you were explaining the flower in the hand, you specifically said absence of flower in my hand is impermanent. But that's wrong, because that is only true independent of there being no flower in your hand. As soon as you put a flower in your hand, that's not, you can no longer say absence of a flower in my hand still exists.
So keep in mind, I showed you, you must not be looking at me. Right?
Uh-huh.
You must not be looking at me, you must be busy writing something. What I said was, oh, what is there? A flower. What is the absence of the flower? So this is the example, then I give the explanation. Absence of the flower in my hand, this hand, not this hand. This hand. Absence of flower in this hand, that is permanent.
But when you put the flower in your hand...
So here, the absence of flower is non-existent.
Then it's
permanent,
not
impermanent, both should be existent. Whether permanent or impermanent, both should be existent. Absence of flower in my hand now, this is non-existent, because it is not true. Now is true, absence of flower in my hand is true. Right?
But wouldn't that make it impermanent? It
Which
depends,
one? No. So say, absence of flower in my... Okay, what is in my hand? Flower. Absence of flower is in my hand? No. Right? Because it is no, it is absence of flower in my hand at this moment, it is not true. It is not true means the absence of the flower does not exist in my hand now. Because it does not exist, It cannot be permanent, it cannot be impermanent. Because for something to be permanent, impermanent, it should be existent in the first place. Right? Okay. Any more questions? Okay, now going back to the space. Space, compounded space, uncompounded space, right? Okay. So group discussions, just go through this kind of discussion. This is very helpful. So later on, when we go to study emptiness, your mind is active enough to grab what emptiness is, right? Okay. So now with the space. Okay, do you know that there's a gap between you and me? There's a distance gap between you and me. Okay, those at the back, can you see distance between you and me? Okay, do you know that there's a gap? So this is known as space. And how do you know that this space exists? How do you know that there's a space existing between you and me? Huh? I can see this, right? So what is validly seen by you, what is validly perceived, this qualification, validly perceived, otherwise we can hallucinate, right? Hallucinations don't trust. Don't trust. What is validly seen, what is validly perceived by the senses? What is validly perceived by the senses are all impermanent phenomena. Keep this in mind. What is validly perceived by the senses? Eye sense consciousness, ear sense consciousness, nose, tongue, tactility. What is validly perceived by the senses should be impermanent phenomena. So with this qualification, the space that we could see between you and me, your eyes could see this. Your eye consciousness could see this. It is seen by your sense consciousness. So therefore, the space that we are seeing is impermanent phenomena, right? Okay, so now you may be wondering, some of you may be wondering, if it is impermanent, it should be compounded. Yes. If it is impermanent, if it is impermanent, it should be compounded. More than compounded, it should be of substance. So what substance makes this space? This is the question, right? You can discuss this. What substance makes this space? Okay. The classical physics talks about ether, but forget about ether here, right? Classical physics talks about ether which spreads in the space. So this space is nothing but made of ether. Just take it away. Okay, now in our case, how can we justify that what we are seeing, the space that we can see now between you and me, this space is made of substance? How can we justify that? Substance. Don't confine yourself to understand substance as something like atoms, something like, okay, say in the gross atoms, how the physics understands atoms, right? So say the space that we have between you and me, say if it is like, say, 10 meters, right? 10 meters distance, then we can divide that into two parts, 5 meter half and 5 meter another half. That makes the total space between you and me. So this 5 meter can further be divided into 5 segments, right? 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter, all totaling up to 5. So that way we see that there are smaller parts which are visible to eyes. Those which are visible to eyes, right? When you go smaller, then we see that they're, at one time it becomes so tiny. So these we call them as the particles, not like, say, tangible solid particles. We call them as space particles. So the visible space, compounded space, or the visible space is constituted of the substance. What substance? Space particles, right? So this is how we have to understand it. Now going back is the space which we see. This space, okay, now we are talking about this space which we are seeing, just as my hand. I was talking about the absence of the flower, absence of the tiger, absence of whatever, right? Likewise, I'm going to speak of the same thing in relation to the space which we are seeing between you and me. This space is does it obstruct other things? The space between you and me, does it obstruct other objects? It does not obstruct. So this space does not, negation does not obstruct, which means it is absent of obstruction. You agree with me or not? This space that you are seeing between you and me, it is absent of obstruction. It is absent of obstruction. You're getting it? So this space between you and me has one of the attributes of this space is that it is absent of obstruction. So absence of obstruction is one of the qualities, one of the attributes of the space which you are seeing between you and me. Right? So this absence of the obstruction, which is one of the attributes of this space between you and me, this quality, absence of the obstruction, is that compounded or uncompounded? Uncompounded. Is that made of substance or without substance? That is without substance, because absence is always without substance. It is without substance. And it is uncompounded. So therefore, is it permanent or impermanent? Permanent. So that absence of the obstruction, which is one of the characteristics of the space which you are seeing between you and me, that is known as uncompounded space. Right? You getting it? Okay, shall I repeat it? Shall I repeat it, or that's fine? Okay, let me repeat it. Okay, say, let's begin with this. Do you see the space between you and me? Yes. So that space is visible to your valid senses. Yes, no. What is visible to the valid senses are always impermanent phenomena. You getting it? Okay, don't forget it. Now this is the basis. This space which you're seeing between you and me, visible to your eye consciousness, that space is known as the compounded space. Compounded space. The space which is visible between you and me. Let us begin from there. This space is the compounded space. Now, this compounded space, on the basis of this compounded space, then we are going to talk about the uncompounded space. So, for the time being, forget about the uncompounded space. First, let us be very clear as to what exactly is the compounded space. Okay, anyone tell me? Can you pinpoint to an illustration of a compounded space? Anyone? Okay, Ian? Yes, give me the illustration of the compounded space. Okay, space between you and me, which is visible to our eye consciousness, right? Okay, the space between you and me, which is visible to our eye consciousness. Okay, do we all agree with this? Do we all agree that there's a space which is visible to our eye consciousness between you and me? Do you all agree with me? Good. So that is known as compounded space. How that is compounded? Because this is compounded, this is constituted, this is composed of space particles. What do you mean by space particles? What our eyes could see, can be divided into smaller. Say if you see, say, 1 meter gap between you and me, 1 meter gap, so that can be divided into 2, right? So 1 meter is made of how many centimeters? 100 centimeters, right? So it is made of 100 smaller parts of the space. 100 smaller parts of space, and 1 centimeter consists of how many millimeters? 10 or 10 millimeters. So 1 centimeter is again made of the 10 tiny spaces, 10 tiny space particles, right? So keep breaking them down, smaller. Then we see that it is made of the space. It is compounded of space particles, many space particles, right? So therefore, that space that we can see is known as compounded space, right? Because it is a compounded substance, impermanence, they all mean the same, right? So this space which we see is impermanent space or compounded space. This should be the basic thing that we need to know. Once you know this, Then we speak about the characteristics of this space. My hand has so many characteristics. Say the absence of the flower, absence of tiger, and so forth. There are so many characteristics in the form of absences. So, for example, my hand is impermanent. This is also one of the characteristics. My hand is existent. This is also one of the characteristics. Existence of my hand, the being a phenomena of my hand, and the impermanence of my hand. These are all the characteristics of the hand. Likewise, absence of flower in my hand, that is also the characteristics of the hand. Now, this space also has so many characteristics. Let's say the space, the compounded space that we can see between you and me. This space, one of the characteristics is that it allows us to freely move our arms. Right? Does it or not? So this space allows us to freely move our hands. So how is it that we can freely move our hands? Because it does not obstruct. It does not obstruct. It lets the hands move freely. It does not obstruct. Because it does not obstruct, it does not. Does not is a negation. This word is negation. Does not, absent, empty, they all mean the same. So this space which we can see, it is absent of obstruction. Right? It does not obstruct. It is absent of obstruction. Okay. Now the absence of the obstruction of this space is compounded or uncompounded. Absence of this space, quality of this absence of the obstruction, absence of obstruction of this space is compounded or uncompounded? Uncompounded. Okay, it's uncompounded. Because it is uncompounded, is it made of substance or without substance? Without substance. Because it is no substance, does it undergo change or no change? It is no change. Because it is no change, it is permanent. You're getting it? So this quality of the absence, not the space that we are seeing. The space that we are seeing between you and me is what? Impermanent space, compounded space. Whereas the quality of the absence of the obstruction between you and me, between the space between you and me, that quality of the absence is referred to as uncompounded space, right? So later on, if somebody talks about uncompounded space, don't think about just the space that we are seeing. The space that we are seeing is the compounded space. You getting it? Okay. So this requires a little bit of exercise, and they say we make sure that whether you are already exposed to this since long time ago or not, it doesn't matter. During the group discussion, just go from step one, right? Go from step one, space that we're seeing, which is compounded space. From there, you go on like this with the example of the hand with the flower, without the flower, absence of flower, and so forth. Okay. Right? Okay, afternoon we will do the text, precious garland, right? Afternoon. Why? No, this we have to go. We have to continue. Tomorrow, after tomorrow, we have to continue, right? Entities, isolates, positive phenomena, negative phenomena, affirming, non-affirming, all these we have to study, right? Whether you like it or not, we have to study this, right? Okay, so or what we will do is this afternoon, we will start Bodhicitta. The Bodhicitta, afternoon we'll start Bodhicitta, and the morning sessions when we are more fresh, we will use it for emptiness, because that requires, so even when fresh still we feel so heavy, right? Afternoon is impossible. Afternoon then could be a burden for me to see, right? First of all, the heat, lunch, and the heavy topic altogether, impossible. Okay, so the mornings we will do the emptiness part, and the afternoons we do the Bodhicitta. Once we get somewhere of the Bodhicitta, then we will start the precious garden text. Precious garden text is It's a combination of the emptiness, bodhicitta, and the prerequisites of the practice of the law of karma and so forth. Okay, 3 prostrations.